have a look at now is generating option blocks. This is a real file, so this is real data from the John Roan School, and it's been anonymised for student names, but the data itself is realistic. It's come from the school, so they're running a bunch of subjects here in their option blocks. This column here says how many classes have they proposed to run of each. Yeah, they were originally running option blocks in 2 halves of the year, which is why they were forced to run some quite small classes, and we advised them to say, well, we can get a better result if we run it all in one block. Slightly more difficult to schedule, but gives the students better choice and allows us to reduce some classes. So yeah, SBR is the only computing teacher we've got in there, and that's the only computing room. So on the right hand side we'll see that we have the student choice. So these are the subjects that the students are wanting to study, and 4 primary preferences and 2 or 3 reserve preferences. So we generate the lines, the blocks. It's called lines in Australia, or US is blocks in UK. So we, this process of generating the option blocks may take, a couple of days in many schools. So the blocks I've just generated right before your eyes has been done in a few seconds, so it's faster than most of the existing software, but it also generally gets, well, in fact always gets a better result. So in this case we've got 100% satisfaction, which means that all of the students got everything that they wanted to study, and that is not that uncommon. Quite a number of our schools in the UK that we've processed have got that 100% satisfaction, which is quite unusual. Now, compared to what they're used to. So there's computing there, and someone might say, well, I'd prefer that computing was running in line 4 because it's a smaller line there. So what happens if we just move that over there? Message comes up, we can't move computing because there's only SBR is the only teacher in the set that can take that subject, whereas we could perhaps move French, have the 2 French classes on together, perhaps to allow setting. So there's a degree of, you can maneuver the courses around and see different arrangements, and the impact is immediately shown down here in the sort of statistics box. But that's not a particularly good solution. There's a whole bunch of classes that probably could be cut. So in what we can do is we can go to optimize the solution. And so what happens if we'll apply some weight to say, please start looking at dropping some classes that perhaps aren't needed. So let it run for a few seconds. Progress now. So we are now 3 students have missed out on their preference, on their first main preference. They've all picked up their reserves, so it's still in a 100% solution, but with some reserve. This column here shows that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 classes are not needed in these option blocks, which is kind of a lot. So you're satisfying the students with a whole bunch of classes that are no longer required. And this is quite normal to have at least a couple of classes in every option block. So for this particular school, I think we've saved them 3 or 4 full-time teachers. They're just simply not required because we've reduced the number of classes that are needed. It's not that we're loading up the classes necessarily with to capacity in all cases, but it might be that subjects that were running at 12 are now running at 24 or something like that. So it's it's bringing up, and we can have a look to see which students are missing out. I go more show requests by preference and have a look on the right hand side. You'll see now that Linda, if I double click, we can see that she has been unable to pick up drama, and it's clear. So this is line 1, 2, 3, 4. Could be A, B, C, D. So she wants to pick up drama. Geography is her first choice. She's picked it up in the 4th block. So PG, she's got a choice of line 1 or line 2, but because hospitality is only one class running here, we kind of need to give the PG basically where it is there. So because drama is running against PG in geography in line 1, she's unable to pick up drama, so picks up BP as her first reserve. And we certainly could change that if we wanted to say allow changes to the draft list and say, well, she now picks up drama instead of PG, but PG was preference 2. And the level of the preference of students is particularly important in generating option blocks. So that's giving us a bit of a look around at the, why didn't that particular student get their choices and the like. So that is, we've reduced work by cutting classes that are no longer needed with the algorithms. We're reducing the amount of teaching required. So that could be that if teachers leave, you don't need to replace them. It could be that if you don't replace them, that all of the teachers now have less teaching to do because there's fewer classes, but more students in those classes. If we look down now at the class size balance, let's have a look at that. So we have French. We were able to cut that French class. There's 2 classes of 30, so you'd have to check to make sure that that was appropriate. Might be that 30 is too many. You might cap that at 28, and some of the students might miss out. So, because that 0 is the class that we've cut of this particular subject. If we look at some of the other subjects, let's look at, so ME is running at 26 in one class and 6 in another. So the work required to teach 26 students is an awful lot more than the work required to teach 6 students. So one way we can do with that, it's very easy to balance the class sizes. We can just go to the course definition, ME, and say, what about if we put that at, say, 18 students, and view the lines, and we can optimize. And so looking at the ME spread now, and it's taken very little time at all. I could have let that run a bit longer, but just for the purposes of having a look at how things are going. So we look now for ME here, and you'll see we've got 18 in one class and 15 in another. So we've really reduced the the work of a teacher that was going to take a very heavy class, and sort of reduce that and better spread the work across the 2 classes there. And we can certainly do that for a range of the other classes as well. Now, a couple of other clever things we can do in the blocks. One of them would be, we might say it would be less work for teachers if we could put more classes of the same subject on together. So when I optimize, I might say encourage the same course on the same course more than once on the option block lines. So let's have a quick look at that. So this is, as I said, real data from the school. It's dummy data from our training files or anything, and what you're seeing is actual live. So now, when we look at the first option block, there's 2 history classes on together. There is 2 geography classes on together, 2 history classes together in block 2, 3 triple science classes on together, and so on and so forth. So you now have the ability to stream, set your triple science however you want, manage social relationships by kicking kids up and down from one class to another, to very quickly, improve things. You get perfect balance of class sizes, and that literally took seconds. If any other generation of option block process is unable to get the courses to line up like that. In a sense, we've got many blocks within blocks. The triple science is running as its own little block in block B, or block number 2. So your head of science might be particularly pleased by that arrangement. They may also say, look, we only want a maximum of 2 science classes on at once, and we can put in requirements to ensure that happens, exactly like the computing, having the one teacher there. So as you can see, it's incredibly dynamic to do pretty much anything that you need with the blocks, and certainly a lot more than you might normally have considered. We also, within the blocks, have the ability to do mischievous pairs. So you can see here that Elaine Bourne, there's an M here on the BP. If I scroll down, you'll see there is another M here on the BP for Elizabeth Blyton. So Elizabeth Blyton and Elaine Bourne, those 2 students have one as a bully and one as a victim, and we're trying to separate them in their classes. So we can see that P is a class that they're both in, and when we look to see BP, you'll notice there's only one class of BP running. That purple colour indicates that BP is running in this here. If I go here, you'll see that those 2 students are in fact very keen to do that subject. They're both in the class, and that's their first choice for that class. But what about about art? If we looked at if I move the art around, you'll find that, let me get, they both also study art. So if we generate a new solution, I'm just trying to demonstrate that what the algorithm is in fact doing ever so well, in fact better than I wanted to in this particular case. It is keeping those students in art separated, so they both don't land in art in the same art class. And I've just rigged the solution now in such a way that it's forcing those students. So you can see now that Elizabeth Blyton is in art in that light green block. So too is Elaine Bourne. And if we look at the art class list here in the block process, you'll see those 2 students. It's their third choice, but again, they are both in that same class together. So the algorithm is very capable of separating those. We call them mischievous pairs. So if we look at the mischievous pair here, you'll see that one is that they had a fight recently, and one is a bully, one is a victim. So we've noted that as in demonstration for. So by separating those students, we're actually reducing the effort of the teachers. They're focused on teaching. They're not focused on managing the social issues within the option blocks. So that's a quick overview of some of the ability to reduce teacher workload within generating the option blocks. It's a process that can take seconds in our technology, and far more control than you've ever thought possible.